I'm trying to come up with some ideas on what our theme is as a class. And then initially what I wanted to do was I wanted to take a video of some of my friends and I playing soccer and try and depict what it means to be seen and heard, you know, in sports, specifically soccer. But then I was having a hard time. I was telling I was having a hard time. I mean, when I watch the video, I can know what's going on because it comes naturally to me. But then I don't think if I showed you that video, you would see and understand what the guys are doing, maybe the way they communicate. So I just thought I'd put up a PowerPoint and try and explain that, you know, in words. I think you guys will get that more. So. So what is the sport about? It's a sport played between two teams of 11 players, a spherical ball. I'm just trying to give you guys a general overview of what the sport is about, for those of you who don't know. The game is played on a rectangular field with a goal at each end. The objective of the game is to score by using any part of the body, besides the arms and the hands, to get the soccer ball into the opposing goal. The goalkeepers are the only players allowed to touch the ball with their hands or arms while it's in play, and then only in the penalty area. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I don't think some of you may be too interested in this sport. Outfield players mostly use their feet to strike or pass the ball, and they use their head or torso to strike the ball instead. The team that scores the most goals by the end of the match wins. If the score is tied at the end of the game, either a draw is declared or the game goes into extra time or a penalty shootout, depending on the format of the competition. Now, the way the soccer field is set up, it's 11 players. Mostly, what most teams do is that they play 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 2 attackers. That's basic. The dimensions of the field ranges depending on, you know, the age and the stage of the competition. It's mostly maybe 100 yards by 60 or 120 yards by 80 yards. It depends on the teams too. Some football clubs, we call it football in my country. I came to America and I was told that it's supposed to be called soccer. Okay, so well, I don't fault me if I to change it. It's still a hard thing for me. But then there are some clubs that have relatively smaller pitches, and that suits their style of play. If you go to England, a football club like Chelsea has a really small pitch, so that suits their style of play. If you go to Manchester United, they have a large pitch, so that also suits that kind of play. If you go to Spain, the Bernabeu, it's one of the largest fields in Europe. They can seat as many as 81,000 people. When you go to Camp Nou, also in Spain, 99,000. These are just, I'm just trying to give you a general idea of the size of the pitch, you know, and how many people an average soccer club's stadium can hold. And mostly, I think that it has to do with the noise level too. You know, if you have a really large stadium, like in the Bernabeu, where they have like 81,000 people, you have 81,000 of your fans, not with your fans, but 1/3, 2/3 of that capacity are your fans. They support you a lot, you know, and when you feel that support, when you have that home field advantage, it sort of goes ahead to encourage the players when they're playing. So obviously every team will want to play at home, you know, because they have their fans backing them, you know, and so I feel like that has an impact on the game, you know. When the fans go out to watch their teams play, they are really passionate about the teams and they make their voices heard. If you go to Bayern, if you play against a team like Bayern Munich in Germany, and the players say themselves that the crowd makes so much noise that the away team finds it difficult to even string a pass. No, that's how noisy it gets, and they know that. So the clubs like to invest in expanding, their capacity. Currently, Barcelona is spending 400 million euros in expanding their capacity from 81,000 to 89,000, just a 9,000 difference, but that does make a difference. So that's just a little something on the side. So what does it mean to communicate? Soccer is a team effort and requires that players communicate on the pitch to be successful, especially when you're playing at a higher level and the game starts to move at an even faster pace. You'll need to help your teammates by communicating with them. A few simple shout-outs, whether it's man-on or you've got time, but it'll go a long way in an intense game. Positioning when receiving the ball, the timing of your run, and how you're holding out the defender. Do you really want the ball? All these things are, in part, sending a message to your teammates about how much you want the ball and where you want it. It's like, as I said, if I'm to video some of my friends when I play football or soccer, you guys may not really understand what's going on. You can see, the objective of the game. You can see us passing, but then we know how we move and we know how we communicate with the other teammates. If you have a team that plays a counter-attacking system where they like to sit back and hold, soak the pressure and then hit the opposing team on the counter-attack, you'll see that most often the angle that the fullbacks position themselves sends messages out to the midfielders that yes, they are ready to make the run. So the midfielders also in turn condition themselves to be able to give the return pass. And so these things are not, these movements are not things you can tell the player in the game. Your body, the way you position your body sort of sends out the message to them. Is it necessary? In soccer, the key to being successful as a team is talking to your teammates on the field during the games. Good communication habits can make the difference between a good team and a great one. Teams that communicate well commit fewer errors, make better passes, and are well prepared for defenders marking them from behind. On the other hand, the lack of communication often results in coverage mistakes and getting caught off guard. It also becomes harder to string passes together and maintain possession, especially in the midfield. If your team is underperforming, it's likely that a little work on communication could be the remedy. When I was in high school, my coach was really big on talking to your teammates, and we discovered that whenever we played a team from another region, when we communicated in our local language, it was more difficult for the other team to anticipate our moves. If I'm playing a team that speaks the same language as I am, if I say Kohabra and I'm trying to communicate to maybe the winger or the midfielder, they understand the language, so if they are smart, they can anticipate what the move is and counteract that. So speaking to your teammates is really important, and it can go a long way to carry you through the game. On defense in soccer, communicating is crucial. Players need to know when they can try to win the ball and when they need to close down the attacker and get tighter. The player in support has to let their teammate know they can try to win the ball or need to even get tighter to the attacker. If, for instance, the right-sided defender, we call the right back, is closing down on the winger, the centre-back can see the whole field. He can see who's trying to make the run, and he can communicate to the right back to close up or to allow the winger to draw closer so he can make the tackle. You just need to communicate with them. When confusion comes, when confusion sets in, and the opposition sees that you guys don't know what you're doing with the ball, then they take advantage of that. So you have to make that part of the team's culture. What about personalities? All soccer players are different. Some are quiet and don't say much. Others are constantly yelling and talking on the field. However, every player should learn to communicate those simple messages, such as man on and turn. This is where leaders come into play on a team. Leaders are those who lift the team up when they are down and direct the team as a whole throughout the match. There are some teammates that I've had that will not do any talking at all because they feel like whatever they need to say, they need to say it through their performance or through their actions or through the way they play. You know, but naturally they just don't talk. They are not. They won't say anything on the field because they feel like you know what they need to do. Everyone has a role and everyone knows what they need to do. But then you've got to understand that it's just not it's a team effort. It's a team sport. You've got to be on the same level with your teammates. Even if that's not your personality, there are certain key modes of communication that you should try and adopt. Okay, so I was contemplating what is it better to be seen or better to be heard in the game when the game that if the game lasts for 90 minutes, the two most vocal people on the field should be the captains, because there are certain times when the tactics are not going, you know, as the coach intended to. The captain needs to step up. The captain needs to make the extra tackle. The captain needs to make the extra run. The captain needs to shout out that extra word. And if you follow soccer, you realize that most captains are either defenders or midfielders, because they are able to sit back and see the pace at which the game is going, and then they encourage their teammates to counteract that. You know, but I've seen captains who are forwards, like forwards who are captains, and I mean, it just depends on how charismatic you are and how much passion you have for the game. You know, and then I was thinking about that's what I want to do after I'm done with what I'm going to school for. That's soccer. Soccer is something that means a lot to me, and you know, I want to be able to use that knowledge and that passion to make a difference, you know, where I come from. And so, like, sometimes I follow a lot of coaches, you know, I just try to learn as much as I can, you know, whilst I can. So I'm just going to play this, and it's just a minute and 30 seconds. I'm trying to get at something right here. What was it? That is my favorite coach.
After that, the last defensive block is the 3 attackers against the 4 defenders. So defensively, it's easy to analyze, it's easy to control, and you cannot concede goals playing playing this way. We have to play for a result. They play for a result, we have to play for a result. We cannot lose anymore. I'm not putting pressure on you about we have to win. I don't want to put that kind of pressure. But we cannot lose. We cannot lose.
You know, those words, you know, I actually watched that game, and when the players came out of the dressing room, like they were having a bad game, they came out and they played like madmen. You know, because the coach said, well, I'm not asking you to win, but losing is not an option. We cannot lose. You know, and these are things that go, for me, I'm an athlete. If my coach tells me that, I'm going to approach the game differently. You know, I'm going to approach the game differently, where I know that if I attack and I lose the ball, I have to come back and I have to make sure that I get the ball back. You know, and you know, if you're playing competitively, you know that everyone has to fight for their position. Like, he will tell you that your position is not guaranteed. If you want to start, your performance would guarantee your starting spot. You know, so if you go out there and I put tactics on the board and I said, okay, well, this is how I want us to play. This is your job. I need you to do your job. You will need to do that if you want to play. You know, so if you're a professional athlete, or if you're just an athlete who, you know, likes to compete, who wants to compete at the top level, you know what you need to do, and you know the things that you need to, the methods that you need to adopt, you know, in order to be that athlete you want to be. So, basically that's what my presentation is about. Just trying to draw a line. What does it mean to be seen and heard on the field? Your actions mean a lot, but then the captain and the coach have a duty, a duty that goes beyond that of the other players, to step out, you know, and be seen and be heard, and get your team to get the results that you want. Yeah, so